All right, how you doing? I'm Vince. I'm Backyard Mangoes, and I'm with
I'm Alex from Tropical Acres Farms in West Palm
and
Beach.
whoops. And this is the end of November. Thanksgiving is next week, and our weather forecast are blooms. No, but to be serious, the weather forecast for the next few days are in the 50s overnight here for about 2 or 3 nights. I know the deer have been moving on public land, but anyway, um, talk about these blooms here. What do we have going on?
So we have some flowers on some of our trees here. It's not unusual for this place to have some flowering mango trees during the month of November. Um, Vince mentioned that the temperatures are getting cool here, and normally mangoes are stimulated to bloom by a combination of cool and dry weather here in Florida, especially the cool weather. We get cold fronts here during our winters that kind of shock the trees into bloom, and that's common throughout the global subtropics. But the bloom that you see here was not initiated by cold weather, nor was it necessarily completely initiated by dry weather, although it has been dry for the last several weeks. These panicles would have started emerging probably around the beginning of this month. Okay, so they were stimulated to bloom by stress the tree received in that lead up of time, over the course of September, October. Some of that was
he's got mangoes on there. By the way.
yeah,
There is a little fruit set. I'm just saying.
Yes, we do have some fruit set already. What causes this? Well, some of it's that the weather has been becoming drier. Part of it is almost certainly a response to the change in photo period. That is the reducing amount of daylight hours that we're receiving here at this point in the year, which continues on into December, actually. Not all mangoes will respond to that. In fact, quite few will, from published studies that have been done on this. But here, certain varieties in this locale will do that. One of them is the Edward, which there's a lot of old Edward trees here that the Sturrocks planted. And these trees every year will have some amount. What's up?
I hate my Edward tree.
You hate your Edward tree? Okay, well, we don't hate ours.
It doesn't produce mine. Mine is unproductive,
okay,
but I'm
well,
7-8 miles west.
We have dozens of Edward trees here,
and ours
produce quite well and quite consistently, and it's not unusual for us to get early fruit. Now, this fruit that will hopefully come from these panicles that are on some of the trees, and we can even look at some of the other ones here because we have a decent number that are producing some amount of bloom. This fruit may mature before the maturity window that I consider the regular mango season here in Florida.
Approximately how many days does Edward take?
Normally,
I know some are
like from the time that the fruit has set until we get our first mature fruit might be around 90 days. Depends on the climatic conditions at the time of fruit development. Temperatures. So
you're talking end of February after that.
Yeah, so there's a potential that we will have mangoes on these trees that are beginning to ripen, in 3 months or so.
You're going to get crazy emails now.
Okay. Well, we're not talking about a huge amount, right? We won't even necessarily be selling this fruit, although sometimes we give it away to people that buy trees from us. So, but for me, okay, this is kind of...
I ordered a tree online from you.
You did? Okay.
I'm waiting on the graft.
Okay. So my definition of the standard season here, okay, because it's so long now with all the varieties we grow, is that anything that's coming and maturing after the 15th of March qualifies as regular season mango, okay? Mm-hmm. And that might be rare in a lot of the state, but in here it happens enough that that's kind of our definition, or my definition, of where the mango season begins. And anything that is maturing before that, to me, qualifies as off-season fruit. So some of this may really truly be more off-season fruit because of how early the bloom is occurring and how rapidly the fruit may develop. Right now, we have little BB-sized fruit on these that are setting, which is encouraging to see. Edward doesn't always come out with many female flowers, but if we're getting fruit on it right now that are BB size, that means it's making female flowers.
Yeah.
So up here, there's a good amount of bloom at the top.
Whoops.
So Now we mentioned that we're getting.
And this is one of several trees.
Yeah,
that
we actually have
blooming
trees that
pretty
have
well like this,
a lot more bloom than this. But
yeah.
you know, most of our mango trees aren't flowering right now. But the varieties that are sensitive enough, we have some bloom on Rosigold. We even have a little bloom on Tess Pollock, and even in one of our sugarloaf trees has bloom. Our Madame Francis tree has some bloom. But I'm not trying to give off the impression that most of our mango trees are flowering right now. We're getting this little cold front. It will probably stimulate some of the remaining canopy on a lot of our Edward and Rosigold trees to flower probably in 2 or 3 weeks from now, because we're getting like 3+ nights of cold, 3 or 4 nights. That's not really going to be enough to get most of our trees to flower, though. We're going to have to be waiting on cold fronts that occur maybe in December, January, or February to stimulate the primary bloom. This stuff that we're getting now and what we potentially will get in the month of December is probably only going to be enough for some spring mangoes, but not enough to like sustain our main crop.
Spring mangoes are better than grocery store mangoes.
Yeah, they are. Spring mangoes actually can be quite good depending on you know, what kind of weather you receive.
Well, I know, like, you know, I have the property that's east, not quite as east as this property, and the trees that are on there, there's some blooms that are coming up, but then the property that I have that's about, like I say, about 9 miles west of here, that am just direct west of here, I don't see blooms happening or even beginning to. But I'm thinking after this weekend, things may change a little bit on a few of the trees, on a few that are, like you say, more sensitive to those changes, like a Rosigold.
Yeah, quite a few varieties need quite a bit more cold weather than what we're expected to get this week to actually get them to flower, at least to get them to flower well. So there's obviously a pretty significant difference, and even on these trees that are sensitive enough to respond to that bloom stimuli, they may not have full blooms. They may only have partial blooms or fractional blooms. This tree is one of them. I mean, this tree does have a lot of bloom on this side of the canopy, but the side that's got fresher growth doesn't have much coming out. And even this side here has quite a bit where the stems are still dormant. Now, my expectation would be that some point in December, we can come back and look, and we'll see that these buds will have started to swell up. But this is still dormant. Okay, now why doesn't the whole canopy respond? It just kind of depends on what the tree feels like and how much stimulus it gets from what's causing it to flower in the first place. So
well, you already listed a few others: Rosigold, Sugarloaf, and
yeah, one of our Sugarloaves has got
else?
some bloom. Tess Pollock has some bloom coming out. Our Madame Francis has some bloom coming out. I saw a little panicle coming out of our Jaya tree over by the driveway there. And if we looked carefully enough, I'm sure we'd find some stray bloom on a few other things out in the orchard. But most of them are at rest right now. They're dormant. There's a few that are, you know, pushing some late growth flushes that we don't really want. But most of our trees have calmed down now. You can see there's a little bit of growth coming out of this one. See?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we actually don't want to see that, but luckily most of them aren't doing that.
Yeah.
So,
and I have some that are doing that right now.
Yeah.
I'm
not desirable, but
I'm a little stressed because I have a lot more of that going on than
you do?
want.
Okay.
A little bit more than I want. Yeah.
Okay.
And it looks like a lot of them are getting ready, instead of to panicle, they're getting ready to flush again. And
okay.
like,
so unfortunately, we did get a lot of rain in October. Now, November's been pretty dry. I think the early part of October.
I think we're in for a very dry season.
But at this point, November's been dry. So, and I've been very satisfied with the low rainfall. It's very nice out right now here, and it's good mango weather.
Yeah.
So
I think we're in for a little bit drier than average season.
Hopefully. I want the bloom period to be as dry as possible. I want it to be bone dry, actually. I want dead grass. That's what I want.
I know a property I worked with in previous years, they had 20, 30 trees, and last year they only had like 20 to 30 total mangoes. I was like,
that's pretty poor.
Yeah, they not well maintained.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, all right. Hey, well, thank you. And hey, buy a tree, maybe get a mango if it's spring.
Yeah.
Maybe if it's available. So
we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thanks.